and speaking of mountains high enough, rivers low enough, that happened to be what we have right here. We're going to talk about drawing contour maps. All right. In order to draw a contour map, we have to take elevation readings, and people have to go and every so often take elevation readings and figure out how far we are above sea level. All right. Now, on this particular one, we're not going into all that detail, and now we have satellite imagery and things like that that probably help them to do this even better. But basically, you'd have to have all these different points reading of different elevations. Okay. And on this map, you notice the very lowest one is 39. And the very highest one is, looks like about 101 over here. So if we want to know the relief of this map, we could take 101 minus 39. That would give us 2, give 1, carry 1, 62 feet. So 62 feet would be our relief for this thing. Now we have already drawn one line up here. This line is or several lines I should say, but the first line that they drew up here is this one, which goes through the 40-foot contour line, so we'd label that. We'd also label off over here on the side, but I can't show you that right now because I'm trying to fill up the whole screen with it. But that would be our 40-foot contour line. Our next one, notice, goes through all the ones that say 50. All right, and remember our definition of a contour line is a line that goes through all points of the same elevation. And so if first one was 40, next one's 50, our contour interval, the difference between one contour line to the next, is 10 feet. Okay, now the next one goes through 60. All right, so this will be our 60-foot line, which goes along with our 10-foot contour interval. All right. And so, anyhow, so that'd be our 60-foot contour line interval. Now, we'll notice that these lines, as they go, point this direction. Why did we make the lines point this direction? Well, because we say contour lines make a U or V shape. When they do that, they always point uphill. And we know 39 is our lowest elevation. The elevation gets higher as you go this direction. So this is actually running this direction from the lower left all the way up to upper right because we're going from low to high elevation. Okay? And so that's why we try to make these point upstream or uphill. Okay, so we know in this case we have a lake up here. The water is running out of the lake, running downhill, going into the river, from the Stone River into the River Nancy. All right, what a name. Okay, anyhow, but we have a problem here because technically anything with 40-degree line, everything on this side of the line should be less than. That's good. 39 is between the 40 and 50 line. Everything should be in the 40s. Okay, and that's good. And in between the 50 and 60 line, everything should be in the 50s, but we have a 50 over here. So, and we have some more 57, 53 over here. So this line goes off there, and we know it continues. We don't know where, probably up here somewhere. But somewhere up here, it must come back down. And so it's going to come right through here. It's going to be close to 58, 53, somewhere in there. Here's a 60. It has to hit that spot. And then there's a 57, a 64. It should go probably a little closer to 57, but somewhere in there. Okay, let me redo that line. That is just not very straight. I'm going to blame it on my calibration thing here, but there we go. Now we're going to have to label this line 60 foot also because it is 60 foot, just like this one over here was. All right. And so it's going to be like so. And so it's possible for a line to go off the page and come back on again. And that's what we're going to have to do here. Now I would also label this one over here 60 foot, but I don't have room off the page. I would do it off the page just so it doesn't get in the way here. So in this case, we assume that this line did something up here and came back over here, but we don't have to show that because that's off our map and we don't have any readings. We don't know how far it could have gone up or back before it came back down without any numbers up there to tell us that. Okay, so then we would try to go with our 70 line. All right. So 70, we'll go over here, we have a 69, we have a 71. So we know it's going to go somewhere between those two, and it's going to hit the 70 line here. Now, here we've got a little jiggle. This 72, it needs to be on the lower side of the line. Here's 69, so it's going to have to come over 72 and close to 69, because obviously that's almost 70. All right, then we're going to come over here. Got 68 and 73. Should be a little closer to 68 probably. Here's a 70. There's a 69 right there. So we're going to cross. Now, do we know exactly where we cross or exactly where the line goes in between some of these places? No. So we have to make our best guess, and there's a certain amount of leeway. As long as all the 60s are in between the 60 line and the 70 line, then we're okay. All right, and so now we're going to go back up here. Here's 68 and here's 70, so we're going to have to hit 70 up here. All right, and here's 68, here's 73, so probably a little closer to 68. And then it's going to have to curve back here. And come off the page somewhere over here, okay? And then we need to label it a 70-foot line. And technically these should be labeled, like I said, on both sides. I just have a hard time doing it. Now, in general, you'll notice that the lines tend to be kind of parallelish. I mean, if we wanted to go back, we could probably polish it up a little bit and make them more closer to the same, and that would probably be a good idea to do, okay? Now, down here at the bottom, we're going to go to our next line, would be our 80-foot line. 80-foot line, here's 77, there's 81, we're going to get close to that one. 78, here's an 80, so we're going to come there. All right. 79, we got to come close there. All right, now we have a little bit of problem here, not a problem, but we have two streams, so it's probably going to point upstream on that one a little bit. Go down a little bit here, and it's going to have to miss 81 there. Go between 78 and there, come back to 80 over here, and off the screen finally like that. Okay. All right. Now, we know it needs to point upstream on each of the rivers, so that's why we did that, and that's why we know it probably goes back in there a little bit in order to do that. There are a certain amount of things that it's science in a way, but it's also a little bit of an art, because there is leeway for it, and you will see on the next one 90 and 100 lines. I'll leave those to you to do. Some of those get a little more challenging, but you have to give it your best guess. All right, and so anyhow, we'll let you take it from there. And notice 100 line would be the last one, because we do not know anything after 100. We don't know where 110, for example, would go, and so we would leave that one off. All right, so I'll let you pause it for a second, and when I finish the drawing on your own, and then we will give you the key and see how you turned out. Although keep in mind, once again, there is a little bit of leeway on the key. And we're back. Here's the key we promised. Basically, we have the 90 line starting over here. I'd go through 90, hit 90, close to 89, 90, past 88, points uphill a little bit, goes above the 92 there. Now, here, it's possible, for example, how does that 80 get there? Well, that's kind of hard to say, but we went up this direction, went around it like so, okay? We didn't have as good of a V shape around this one, so it probably could have come up here a little bit like this, and then gone like that. There's a little bit of leeway once again on, well, you need to point upstream, so I had to come up like that. So I had to point out that. We couldn't have done that because that would point the wrong direction. But basically, you know, there's a little bit of leeway in there, but that's kind of what it had to be. Everything between here needs to be in the 80s, and we did that, so that would work. 100, coming here, goes above 101. You know, back here, we don't know. It could possibly come up like that and go like that. But basically, that is a good possible reading of that. Now, obviously, when you do this in real life, the more of these measurements you have, then the easier it is to do your job. All right, we'll give you one more to practice on, and just to give you a little bit of start, you're going to start with the 100 line, okay? It's going to start down here toward the bottom, down about here, say. It could be maybe a little closer to here. But that's going to be about your starting point, okay? So it's going to come up here, and here's 107, here's 94, so it's going to go about, whoops, sorry, about halfway between that. Here's 103, so it's going to stop before there, and then it's going to obviously go down here by the 96 part and then go off here somewhere. Okay, so that's your 100-foot line. That'll give you a good start, and you'll notice that the elevation as you go up is higher up here, therefore this is uphill, so remember that. And what is our highest number up here? We'll have to find that, and you have to find the relief for me. Basically, you should be able to figure out what your last line is. If you're up in the 170s, I suggest you're probably a little too high. But anyhow, there you have some more fun things to work on, and we'll talk more about that in class. But that should get you started on how to draw contour lines, and on the you got to draw the line somewhere worksheet that you will be working on.